Welcome to Narc Abuse No More, where we're here to help educate you about narcissistic abuse because your feelings do matter. Hi, welcome to another broadcast of Narc Abuse No More with your host, evangelist, and Dr. K.L. Rich. Thanks for tuning in today. Today is Friday. What's today's date? August the 6th. These days flying by fast. Of 2021. I pray that you've had a blessed, stress-free, narcissistic-free, abuse-free week so far, and that the remainder of this week will continue to be so as well. But if not, we're going to be talking about a few things today. Again, my name is Dr. K.O. Rich with Narc Abuse No More, where we're here to help you admit what you feel in order to heal from the effects of narcissistic abuse, because your feelings do matter. Yes, they do. But before we go on with today's broadcast, I would like to invite you to visit us on our website at www.narcabusenomore.org. Again, that website address is www.narcabusenomore.org, or you can type in narcissistic-abuse-no-more.com. Again, that's narcissistic-abuse-no-more.com. And on our website, you'll find valuable information regarding narcissism, regarding relationships, and you can listen to these broadcasts if you missed any. We are on every Tuesday and Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Central on SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, Google Play, iTunes, Deezer, Castbox, and probably a few more, but those are the ones that I can think of right now. Again, we are on every Tuesday and Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Central. Now, I want you to do me a favor right now. If you are able to, please hit the share button. Share these broadcasts. You might have some narcissists in your life. Now, let me just say this. Don't go up to a narcissist and say, I know what you are. You're a narcissist. Nah, just share it on your share it on your platform, your social media, your Twitter, your LinkedIn, whatever, because sometimes people can get the information and the knowledge that you're getting without you actually saying a word. Going up to a narcissist and saying, oh, you're a narcissist, that will not produce anything good, all right? Because of course they're going to be in denial. However, you can share this. If you know someone that's going through abuse and in some type of situation that's abusive, and they may be married to or dating a narcissist or dealing with some narcissists, just share this on the platform. Say, hey, you know what? It's this broadcast I came across, and you might want to look it up because she's giving some valuable information on her. So do me a favor, share these broadcasts. Do someone else a favor. Help them out if you know that they're in an abusive situation. All right, what are we talking about today? We are talking about cycles of abuse, stages of abuse. Yes, there are cycles of abuse, and if you stay in that cycle, it's going to keep going and going and going like you're on a roller coaster that's never coming to an end. What you call those turn things? I forgot what you call those turn things we used to jump on as kids, and it keeps spinning and spinning and spinning. I forgot what they are, but anyway, you know what I'm talking about. Jump off. It's time to jump off. You might be that hamster that's in that wheel going nowhere. It's time to jump off. I'm not talking about jump off a bridge, okay? We ain't talking about that. We're talking about jumping off the cycle of abuse, because it is so hard when you're in a relationship with someone. It's not easy to let go of. You have feelings for that person, but let me just say this: you first got to love God and love yourself, and when you know the love of God, you don't allow someone else to abuse you. And I want to say this to those that's in the Christian community: do not let anyone talk you into staying in abusive relationships. If you especially especially if you are being physically abused, sexually abused, do not stay in that relationship, because some people would may be alive today if they had walked away from that relationship, split ways. Let that person get themselves together in an orange jumpsuit or in some kind of therapy group, but you are not the therapist to be for them to be bashing you in your head. Come on now. Come on. Too many people are going through abuse. And abuse is not just physical. So we're going to talk about the 4 stages of abuse. And then I want to let you know what other types of abuse there are, because there's other types of abuse. Sometimes people do not take it seriously if it's not physical abuse. And even then, they don't take it seriously. But any type of abuse is not okay. Let me just repeat that. Any type of abuse is not okay. And we're going to talk about those types of abuse so that you can recognize and understand about abuse. And you might say, well, why don't they leave that person? Because it's not just as simple as leaving. However, we want to get you to that place where you do. If you are being physically abused, sexually abused, it is time to cut that cord and let go. Let them get themselves some help. Now let's go through the 4 stages, the four cycles, the cycle of abuse, because the cycle of abuse is known to have 4 main stages, 4 phases that are in the majority of violent relationships, and they do repeat each other over and over and over again with the promise to stop. So number 1. The first stage of an abusive relationship is the tension building stage. And you can also find these cycles if you need a chart. If you want a chart, you can find these charts online. All you got to do is type in the cycle of abuse, and you can go to the images and you can see an actual chart about the cycles of abuse. So the first one is the tension builds. So stress, everyday life, and people use this to make excuses as to why they're abusing someone else. So normally stress and strain builds up, leading to the abuse. Addiction, if they have a drug problem, if they have an alcohol problem, that can lead up to this being the first stage of abuse. Financial issues, different issues that happens in everyday life can build up. A bad day on the job, or a bad week on the job, or just some time that's bad on the job, period, can lead up and be part of that tension building stage. So the victim will know that there's a strong possibility that their behavior could trigger something. You might be doing something. You might be walking on eggshells around the house because you know that, hey, if I do anything, it's going to set them off, or it's going to set her off. You never know what kind of bag they're going to come out of on any given day because they're emotionally unstable. And so I'm walking on eggshells. I got to watch what I say. I got to watch what I do. I got to watch where I go. I got to watch who I be around, because I never know what's going to set them off. I got to make sure that the dinner's cooked. I gotta make sure that their clothes are ironed right. I gotta make sure that the house is clean just right. I gotta make sure the cans are straight. Do you all remember the movie? What was the movie with Julia Roberts, and she was in a domestically violent relationship and she faked her death? Sleeping with the enemy, and she had to walk on eggshells because she didn't know what given day he was gonna find something wrong. If the towels weren't just right, he would go off. If the cans weren't just right, he would go off. If she didn't look just right, he would go off. This is the tension building stage. Now, number 2 leads to the actual incident of abuse, the actual abuse that takes place. This could be verbal, this could be emotional, this could be physical, this could be sexual, it could be financial. This includes a person being angry, they're threatening you, they're intimidating you. Sometimes it involves rape, it involves physical violence, for you getting beat, slapped, choked, thrown up against the wall, throwing objects, hitting you, kicking you. This is the actual stage of abuse when it actually goes down. So you had the volcano where the pressure was rising and it was building, and now you got the boom, the explosion of this incident that has taken place. So now you're in the actual stage of abuse, which causes sexual, psychological, emotional, all kinds of trauma. And a lot of times people can get PTSD, or sometimes what we call PNSD, post-narcissistic stress disorder, or PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. And you will go find yourself going back. Even if you've left that person, certain things might set you off, like soldiers that were in war. A lot of times soldiers cannot be around firecrackers. It sends them back to when they were on the battlefield. So a lot of times they won't go around fireworks. Those who have PTSD, they don't want to go around fireworks or be in a group of people, because they're used to always having to watch their back, and they're not able to be in a large group of people because it sends them back to when they was on the battlefield. And this happens to those who also have suffered from narcissistic abuse, PNSD, post-narcissistic abuse syndrome, where people go back to where they were getting abused, whatever type of abuse that was. So you're seeing right now that you are at the second stage where the incident of abuse actually plays out. This is not a good way to live. Not a good way to live. And I want to give you the hotline for domestic violence. I'm typing it in right now, domestic violence hotline, because you need a number, you need a website that you can call if you are in a situation. You can get help. Do not be afraid to get help. 1-800-799-7233, 1-800-799-SAFE, or 1-800-799-7233. The website is thehotline.org, thehotline.org. And one of the good things about going to this particular website is that if you're in need of having to exit out right away, they let you know. All you have to do is press the X. If your abuser come back home and you get caught off guard, the only thing you have to do is press X on the screen, or your mouse on the screen, and it will immediately exit out, so you will not be in fear of them seeing what you're trying to do, seeing that you're trying to get help. You want to always get help as safely as possible. So that's 1-800-799-SAFE or 1-800-799-7233. You can also chat live with someone, or you can text the word START to 88788. Text the word START to 88788. 88788, and that's to the National Domestic Abuse or National Domestic Violence Hotline. All right, we are going to take a quick break, and we'll be back in just a moment. is respect. RESPECT. Find out what it means to me. That's by the late Aretha Franklin. All right. So we're talking about cycles of abuse and knowing those cycles of abuse so that you can get out of the cycle of abuse. Again, I want to give you the National Domestic Violence Hotline. That's 1-800-799-SAFE. 1-800-799-7233. The hotline.org is their website. All right. So continue on with the third cycle of the abuse is the reconciliation stage, otherwise known as the honeymoon stage. This is when the abuser apologizes. They say, I'm sorry. They have a million promises. It'll never happen again. Woo, woo, woo. Beg for forgiveness. They will, what we call hoover you with, love bomb you. It's called love bomb. When they shower you with gifts and affection and all kinds of promises and want to be all romantic if you involved with them and all these things. It would never happen again. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, I'm going to be attentive. Give you the world. Give you all the promises. And sometimes they even blame you to say, you know what, if you had not done X, Y, and Z, I would not have done A, B, and C. All right? And when we know that when you're dealing with narcissistic behavior, they never take responsibility for their own actions. I don't care if you feel as if someone made you upset. That is no excuse to lay a hand on them. Go to the gym. Go take you a run. Go swim somewhere in the Chattahoochee River somewhere. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't give you an excuse to hurt someone. And so during this reconciliation style stage, this honeymoon stage, they promise you the world. And then a lot of times the victims fall for, they say they're sorry. They say they'll never do it again. Actions speak louder than words. You can guarantee that if they have not gotten the help that they need, if they have not gotten the healing that they need emotionally, a lot of times abusers have been abused themselves. And so therefore they carry it out on someone. So if they have not received the help that they need, then they're going to continue the cycle of abuse because they have displaced anger and therefore they are taking it out on the wrong person instead of getting the help that they need to deal with it. And until they get the help that they need to deal with that anger, they're going to constantly keep abusing. And you're going to keep hearing the same thing over and over again. How many people have heard, if you have been in an abusive relationship, especially women, because women and children are the ones that mainly get abused. Men get abused too, but it's predominantly with women. How many times, if you're in an abusive relationship, have you heard that person tell you, I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm so sorry. Every time it happens, I apologize. I didn't mean to do it. It'll never happen again. I was stressed. I was going through things. You made me angry. You made me mad. But I didn't mean to do it. Come home with some flowers, want to have sex and all that kind of. This is what happens during the cycle of abuse. Number 4, the calm stage. This stage right here is the calm before the storm. The storm rebuilds. This is a period where the abuse slows down. Things might be great for a while. They've asked for forgiveness. They've done some positive things. They've done some things to seem as if they're sincere about stopping the abuse. During this period, they may be kind. They may be watching what they say, especially if they're afraid that you're gonna leave them. They change their behavior just for a while. And then the abuse starts back up again. It goes back to the tension stage. Then it goes back to the incident of abuse. Then it goes back to the honeymoon stage. Then it goes back to the calm. And the calm could last for a little while. It could last for a day. It could last for a couple of days, a week, maybe a month, maybe a few months. But then it starts back over again. And then the cycle repeats itself over and over and over again. And until you jump off of that Ferris wheel, until you jump off and say narc abuse no more. That's why we call this show Narc Abuse No More. It stands for narcissistic abuse no more. You have to tell yourself no more. I'm tired of being abused. I'm tired of not being respected. I'm tired of going through this cycle. I'm tired of it happening again and again and again. I'm tired of listening to the lies and the promises of change, and there's no change. And I have to look up and wonder when it's going to happen again, because it always goes back to being the same old ritual over and over again. And many of you know what I'm talking about because you've been through it. You saying that I have been through this over and over again. They keep doing the same thing over and over again. Let me just say this too. If you are with someone that is a habitual cheater, you're being abused. Come on now. If they're a cheater lying, oh, I won't cheat no more. You finding all kind of lipstick and things that's letting you know that, oh, they're sleeping with somebody. That is emotional abuse. And they're saying, I'm sorry, I won't do it again. You keep finding things and letting you know that they're still doing it, and they stop and then they start back again. That is abuse. Come on now. Come on. Somebody's with some habitual cheaters. They can't stay faithful. They need some help. They got some sex addictions and some problems, and they making, well, if you would be a better wife, if you would be a better husband, if you would do this, if you would do that, let me say something else about cheating people. Because that's a form of abuse too. It causes all kind of emotional abuse, and the person that's in this situation always wondering, well, what am I doing wrong, and why can't they stay faithful to me, and if only I'd be a better wife, if only I'd be a better husband, and maybe if I dress better, if I lose some weight, if I do this, if I do that, and you always playing this in your mind, well, maybe it's me, and maybe I'm the problem, and people, it's abuse. It's a form of abuse. It's that emotional abuse. And that person needs help. That individual that's doing it needs help. And you also need help to get out of that situation, that abusive situation. Because you failing to realize is that you deserve to be treated with respect. You don't deserve for anyone to abuse you in any form. And so we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to talk about types of abuse, because people, it's more than just the physical part of abuse that goes through cycles. There are many different types of abuse. And we're gonna talk about the 5 main types of abuse that people go through, so that when you're going through these cycles, you will understand what type of abuse that you're dealing with. And I just talked about cheating. That's an emotional type of abuse. And not only is it emotional, it's physical, because guess what? Outside of the emotional part, physical, sometimes people have brought back diseases to other people because they went out and cheated. Women have gotten AIDS because their husbands went out and cheated, or some other disease that they'll never be able to get rid of because somebody went out and cheated on them. You were faithful, but they weren't. We're gonna take a real quick break, and we'll be back in just a moment.
That I'd be weak without you, but I'm stronger. You thought that I'd be broke without you, but I'm richer. You thought that I'd be sad without you, I love harder. You thought I wouldn't grow without you, now I'm wiser. Thought that I'd be helpless without you, but I'm smarter. You thought that I'd be stressed without you, but I'm chilling. You thought I wouldn't sell without you, so I'm million. I'm a survivor, I'm not gonna give up, I'm not gonna stop, I'm gonna work harder. I'm a survivor, I'm gonna make it. I was survivor, keep on survivor. I'm a survivor, I'm not gonna give up, I'm not gonna stop, I'm gonna work harder. I'm a You thought I couldn't last without you, but I'm lasting. You thought that I would die without you, but I'm living. You thought that I would fail without you, but I'm on top. Thought it would be over by now, but it won't stop. Thought that I would self-destruct, but I'm still here. Even in my years to come, I'm still gonna be here. I'm a survivor. I'm not gonna give up. I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna work harder. I'm a survivor. I'm gonna make it. I'm a survivor. Keep on surviving. I'm a survivor. I'm not gonna give up. I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna work hard. I'm gonna work hard. I'm gonna make it. I will survive. Keep on surviving. Wishing you the best. Pray that you are blessed. But success, and lots of happiness. I'm better than that. I'm not gonna blast you on the radio. I'm better than that. I'm not gonna lie to you and your family. I'm better than that. I'm not gonna hate you in the magazine. I'm better than that. I'm gonna compromise my Christianity. I'm better than that. You know I'm not gonna diss you on the internet. Cause my mama taught me better than that. I'm a survivor. I'm not gonna give up. I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna work harder. I'm a survivor. I'm gonna make it. I will survive. Keep on surviving. I'm a survivor. I'm not gonna give up. I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna work harder. I'm a survivor. I'm gonna make it. I will survive. Keep on surviving. After all of the darkness and sadness, soon comes happiness. If I surround myself with positive things, how can I stop? I'm a survivor. I'm not gonna give up. I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna work harder. I'm a survivor. I'm gonna make it. I will survive. Keep on surviving. I'm a survivor. I'm not gonna give up. I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna work harder. I'm a survivor. I'm gonna make it. I will survive. Keep on surviving. I'm a survivor. I'm not gonna give up. I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna work harder. I'm a survivor. I'm gonna make it. I will survive. Keep on surviving. I'm a survivor. I'm not gonna give up. I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna work harder. I'm a survivor. I'm gonna make it. I will survive. Keep on surviving.
I'm a survivor, and that's by Destiny's Child. I'm a survivor, and you are a survivor. You do not have to be victimized by anyone who wants to continue their abuse upon you. Now, I want to go over a few of the types of abuse. We're going to deal with the verbal abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, financial abuse, and sexual abuse, which is one that really, all the abuses are horrible, and one that people have really downplayed when it comes to sexual abuse amongst married couples. Now, verbal abuse involves name calling, placing undue blame on someone when you're making them feel guilty for something that they haven't done, which is also another name for it is gaslighting. Overly critical. We know that there's two different types of criticisms, main types of criticism. You're talking about constructive criticism and destructive. Narcissist always wants to use the destructive criticism under the disguise of constructive criticism, but it's nothing constructive about their destructive ways. So know the difference between constructive criticism. Constructive criticism is when someone critiques you, say for instance a teacher, he's critiquing your paper to help you do better, to help you be a good student, to help you later on be able to maybe use whatever you're going to school for, be productive in the workforce. All right, so they're trying to help you be your best. Whereas destructive, when you're getting it from the narcissist, is to always point at something that they consider as a flaw in order to make you feel bad about yourself, because the worse that you feel about yourself, the better that they feel about themselves, because guess what, they're empty holes, and so therefore they have no self-esteem within their own selves, only to pull somebody else down. And that's where they get their they get that narcissistic supply from, is making you feel bad about yourself. Another type of when it comes to verbal abuse is resentment. They resent you. Another thing is putting negative labels on you, negative traits of behaviors on you, and it is actually their behavior that's doing it, but they will project or deflect it onto you. They threaten you with physical harm. They start rumors. They try to run a smear campaign, especially if you do not give them their way. They will run a smear campaign with their flying monkeys, aka enablers. They have angry outbursts. This is part of verbal abuse. So you'll know when you're encountering verbal abuse is manipulation. I'll love you, you'll do this. I'll love you if you do that. Another thing is withholding valuable information that you may need, limiting access to finances or personal possessions through verbally telling you, I'm going to cut your account if you don't do, or I'm going to not allow you to have access to money if you don't do whatever. Refusing to acknowledge their spouse's feelings that's up under the realm of the verbal abuse, and using sarcastic and mocking tones. And let me also say this: another part of verbal abuse is when you are claiming to jokingly be for saying something about someone in a joking manner, but there's nothing joking about it when you know that it hurts that other person. Narcissists love to pick and poke at the areas of you where they feel or they know that you are sensitive to. So they will try to embarrass you in front of other people. For example, if you feel self-conscious about your weight, they'll say something in public about, oh, you shouldn't eat that, you eating too much, or you need to watch your waistline. They'll say something, oh, I was just joking, knowing that it hurts you or knowing that that's a sensitive area in your life, but they will say it anyway in order to have that control and dominance over you. Another type of abuse is emotional abuse. Emotional abuse it can kind of coincide. It actually coincides with verbal abuse. When you're getting verbal threats, when you're being demeaned in front of friends, family, or strangers by that particular abuser, when they're name calling. You see, because this whatever they're saying to you verbally it messes with your psyche. Okay, a lot of people, as we've talked about before numerous times on this broadcast, are running movie marathons in their head based upon what others have said about them. You're ugly, you're fat, you're unintelligent, you're dumb, you're stupid, you're just like this, just like that. And they're running this over and over and over again in their minds. And this is why it's so important, especially when you're dealing with children, to watch what you say to children. Don't ever tell the children you're stupid or you're dumb or you just like your no good daddy or whatever. That is emotionally damaging to that child. And as that child grows up, they will feel as if they're less than, they're not intelligent, they're no good, they'll self-sabotage, never thinking that they're ever good enough, because they always heard their parents saying, you like this and you're like that and you're dumb and you're this and you're that, and all those things will keep playing as a movie marathon in their mind as they grow up. And they will never be able to reach their full potential if they allow those things to be embedded in their mind based upon what someone said to them. Another thing, another type of emotional abuse is constant criticism and humiliation. As you know, they coincide with the verbal abuse, disproportionate anger or yelling to intimidate, irrational blaming of the partner, withholding affection, approval, appreciation, or as punishment. And let me just say this: when you're dealing with emotional abuse, you cannot expect to get your validation from the abuser. You must get your validation from within, first from God and within, because whatever the narcissistic abuser gives, they will take back. They will validate and then invalidate up under the same breath. Another thing is obsessive jealousy and accusations, insisting that that their belief is the only belief and yours is never good enough. Your thoughts, your actions, your deeds is never good enough. And this goes on and on. And so you really understand what emotional abuse is, because everything up under the umbrella of abuse, it affects your emotions, whether it's verbal, whether it's emotional, whether it's physical, financial, and sexual. It all goes back to emotions. It deals with your psyche, it deals with your emotions, it deals with how you feel about yourself and how you don't feel about yourself. And many people are self-conscious and they don't feel confident, and they feel as if they are a peon compared to other people because of some type of emotional abuse that they may have encountered. Now, when it comes to physical abuse, we know physical abuse. We know it's hitting, biting, pushing, choking, punching, doing all kinds of physical things, holding the partner down, preventing them from going somewhere, threatening to even use objects. And this is something that is important for people to know. When you're dealing with someone that's locking you out the house, throwing your clothes out the house, and all those things, that is abuse. And when you refuse to get a medical attention, if you know that they need help and you refuse to get them medical attention, or forcing them to use drugs and alcohol, depriving them of their medication, interfering with their physical needs, driving recklessly, all of that, stalking, all of that's part of physical abuse. But let's go a little further. Let's go into the financial aspect of it. When financial abuse, when you forbid your spouse to work. See, one of the things that people may not understand too is, now it's one thing when a couple come together and they say, well, okay, you're going to be the breadwinner and then I'm going to be the one that maybe stay home with the kids or whatever the case may be, and it's a mutual agreement. But when you're dealing with an abuser, they don't agree, they demand. So they forbid you to go out and work. They'll jeopardize your employment by making excessive calls, coming on the job, causing problems on the job, all kinds of things that they know would jeopardize your employment. They refuse to work or contribute to the expenses. That's another form of financial abuse. They control what's supposed to be shared, so it's not your account together, it's their account alone. If you dare touch it or take a withdrawal, you gotta make sure that you let them know, not that you just keeping them informed, oh honey, I took some money out the account so they can balance the checkbook and know what's going on. Oh no, they dare you better not touch this account without my permission. They treat you as a little child, demanding that you sign over your paycheck. Your paycheck is their paycheck. As soon as you get your paycheck, you have to give it to them. There's a lot of things that go up under the realm of financial abuse. They take your credit cards. They don't keep up with accounts, and they purposely try to destroy your credit. They steal things from you. All of that is financial abuse. And last but not least is sexual abuse. Sexual abuse, and it's so important to talk to children about sexual abuse. So if tell them that, hey, if someone touches you, and even if they threaten, oh, I'm going to kill your mom, I'm going to kill your dad, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this to you, do that to you, if you go tell, make sure you tell children, do not believe it, come to you right away if somebody touches them inappropriately. Let them know to not be afraid of the abuser. That abuser needs to be afraid of you. Come on now. Sexual abuse, unwanted touching, demeaning remarks about the person's body or appearance, minimization of the partner's sexual needs. And let me just say this: when someone withholds affection or sexual or sex from you, if you're married, then that is a form of sexual abuse. I'm not talking about taking it, but sexual abuse is rape. It used to be a time when husbands was not able to be prosecuted because if they were married to their spouse, then if she said no, it used to be a time when husbands would not have been prosecuted. But even if you're married and you say no, that is rape if you take it anyway. Berating a partner about their sexual history, demeaning remarks about the person, feminine feminine parts or body parts, forcing sex and types of sex that is uncomfortable to that person. Rape, having, committing the act of rape within that relationship or marriage, or refusing to comply with the partner's request for even safe sex. If you tell the whoever, and I can't condone sex outside of marriage, but if you're having sex and you're not married to that person, and you tell that person that I want to practice safe sex by using protection, and they are insistent of not using that protection despite your request to do so, that it's a form of sexual abuse. Another thing is violating an agreement to be monogamous, but they're having sex with other partners. Criticizing sexual performance or endurance constantly. When you're with the narcissist, you'll never be able to satisfy them. Or if they have a sex problem, because sometimes people have sex addictions, sex problems, and therefore they expect you to act like the porn stars. And that means that they have a sexual problem, but they're causing you to be sexually abused because they're trying to make you feel as if you're incompetent because you're not swinging out the chandeliers or doing whatever the porn stars are doing. That's a form of sexual abuse. Abuse can be in different forms. It doesn't matter what age you are, your religion, your race, your gender. It's sexual abuse, financial abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, verbal abuse affects anybody. It doesn't matter how much money you make, what your status is in life. It can affect anyone. It doesn't matter what neighborhood you come from, whether you're rich, whether you're poor, whether you're well off, whether you're famous, whether you're not. Many people have been victimized by abusers. And the thing is, you want to recognize, hey, I don't deserve to be abused. I deserve respect. I deserve someone who will love me for who I am. I don't deserve to be abused nor manipulated. And sometimes people gravitate to abusers because that's what they're used to. It's the norm for them. But there's nothing normal about abuse. Nothing normal about abuse. And you might say, well, why am I attracting abusers? Well, a lot of times people attract things because they haven't gotten in touch with who they are. And I like saying on this broadcast what the psalmist said, I am fearfully and I am wonderfully made, and I know that full well. And when you know that you are fearfully and that you are wonderfully made, then when you have that confidence within yourself because you know whose you are, that's God, because of who He is, then you will know that I don't deserve to be abused. And let me just say this, before you say I do to someone, check out how they react to things. Are they easily angered? Do they go punch walls? They threaten to do something to your animals? Make sure that you first pray about it, get some guidance, get someone who can see see. A lot of times when you're in the relationship, you may have those rose colored glasses on, but talk to someone who may be clear, who can see, and they don't have no fight in the game, only to let you know, hey, I'm seeing some things, I'm detecting some things. You might want to pay attention to this, you might want to pay attention to that. And the more you know, the more knowledge you know, the more information that you have, the better you will be. Because you don't want to keep attracting abusers if you've had a history of attracting abusers. See, a lot of times people will leave one person and then go on to marry someone else, and they get that same abusive spirit in a different body. And you don't want to do that. You first have to love God, love yourself. And when you love yourself, then love yourself enough to know that I deserve to be treated with dignity and respect. And then, yes, you'll be a survivor. All right, we are up out of here. I pray that you have had a blessed and wonderful week, and that we look forward to, Lord willing, to see you next week on Narcissistic Abuse No More, where we're here to help you admit what you feel in order to heal from the effects of narcissistic abuse. This is Dr. K.L. Rich with Narc Abuse No More. We're out of here. Till next time.